we have invited and has been blessed with the pleasure to have our partners with us today, all the way from UK. DriveWorks is actually now here with us. Mr. Will Blower, let me just get over to his profile. Great. All right. Yep. So Mr. Will Blower is a technical specialist at DriveWorks, and he has previous experience with one of the largest bar in the UK too. So he has a vast experience in both SolidWorks and DriveWorks, and this actually gives him a good understanding of the requirements of a large array of industries and companies today. So without any more further delay, please welcome Mr. Will Blower. Will, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you loud and clear.
That's great. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah. So
I'm
just gonna give you the presenter view right now, the presenter access.
Is that possible? Yeah.
All right. Yep, we see you.
That's
Hi.
great. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, how you doing?
Yep. Yeah. Good. And you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Is it really early over there?
It is very early. I say it's very early. It's 8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock in the morning. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
That's okay.
All right. I'll leave it to you. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. So thank you for joining my presentation, everyone. As we just said, it's really early in the morning for me. It's probably a bit later in the afternoon for you guys, and I'm sure you've been at sessions all day, so you're probably a bit tired. But I really encourage you to try and engage with my presentation, because I think it could be the most important presentation of the day for you, and I'm going to tell you why. So my name is Will. As has already been said, I'm a technical specialist at DriveWorks, and my job is to try and help customers and resellers get the most out of their products. And just a bit of background about DriveWorks before we begin. So DriveWorks was founded in 2001 in the UK, and we're currently on our 18th major release of the software. We operate through the SolidWorks Global Reseller Network, which CADVision is a part of, and we have around 1,700 unique customers throughout the world. We're also a certified SolidWorks Gold Partner product and also a Microsoft partner, and we've won many awards in the UK as a company as well. Now, just a quick question for you before we actually begin the main part of this presentation. But what percentage of SolidWorks users do you think own a design automation product? And I'll just give you sort of 10 or 15 seconds to have a think about that, and then I'll let you know. We've got an issue with the screen, so just say. Okay. Apologies, I think we've got a bit of an issue with our screen, so we're just going to pause for 2 seconds whilst we sort this out. My apologies.
Yep. Yeah, I just realized that the screen was frozen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So sorry, guys, about this technical issue. Perhaps what we can do is we can just quickly refresh it.
Yeah, we're just going to be a couple of minutes just sorting this out.
All right. Yeah. All right, no worries. Yeah.
It's always going to happen when you're doing a live demonstration.
I know, right? We've had multiple dry runs that we've had, multiple practices, and
yeah,
it's okay, it's all right. I'm sure the audiences understand.
We're gonna leave and rejoin the presentation, I think, if that's okay, just to try and make sure this is sorted out.
All right, sure.
Okay, yep. Thank you.
Yep. Perhaps what I can do right now is I can actually give you a quick introduction to DriveWorks. So yeah, DriveWorks is actually it should be something that has been that every SolidWorks user may have already heard of this term or know of this function in SolidWorks itself. So if you have noticed, all right, in SolidWorks standard, right, DriveWorks Express is already present in each SolidWorks standard module that we have. So if you are a SolidWorks user, you may have come across DriveWorks, or you may even be an active user of DriveWorks already. And if you have not used DriveWorks before, or you have not heard of DriveWorks before, it is basically a automation tool, or yeah, it's something like an equations, going a little bit technical here. All right, so contrary to some of you may know, I'm actually a technical my background is actually an application engineer with CADVision systems as well, so I do have an experience in terms of using SolidWorks as well as DriveWorks. So you know the features in SolidWorks where you can actually create equations and actually create some formulas, so that when you are actually changing some variables inside, the design will automatically get updated accordingly. So that's how some of us create configurations in that way. Well, DriveWorks is actually an upgrade from that. So DriveWorks actually allows you to have multiple equations inside, and then you can actually customize or configure your products or your designs even easier in that sense. All right, so just a quick check with all of you. How many of you have actually heard of DriveWorks, or is actually currently a user of DriveWorks? You can actually let me know in the questions area, or you can actually let me know in the chat. Yeah. Yes, no? Have you guys heard of it before? Heard? All right. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for responding, Zinkuntra. Yeah, I think Mr. Zinkun. Yeah. Yeah, so, but today what we will be talking about is actually not about DriveWorks Express, but really about what DriveWorks can actually contribute to futures, for the future of product development and everything. Because in the presentation yesterday, if some of you have actually attended the Smart Industry Readiness webinar session, one part of it in the product lifecycle product development, PLM, the product lifecycle management, right? One of it is actually customers being able to have customizations on their own products, or on their own purchase and everything. But how do we actually do this mass customization? And how do we actually allow our customers to access this and then be able to choose that? Because right now we see, especially during this pandemic season, let's not use season as the word. I don't hope for it to come back, right? But throughout this entire pandemic period, we see economic booms in online shopping and deliveries, right? So in online shopping, is it possible for us to actually move our products, regardless of what industry we are in, to online, to actually get our customers to just interact with us online, and they will be able to make purchases from there? So all of these are made possible, but it will require a lot of intricate planning as well. And DriveWorks really actually helps in that sense a little bit, which Will will actually show later on. All right. Okay. Yeah. So Will, are you all right? Are you with us? Will? All right. I think he's still going to rejoin us later on. All right. So thank you for those of you who are bearing with us. Yeah. But if you do have any any questions that you would like to share or you would like to ask, you can do so right now as well. All right. If not, I'm not sure if all of you have actually seen the QR code. You guys can actually do that as well. Oh, all right. I think we have Will back with us.
Hi, apologies for
Yeah.
that. We've just
Oh, hi.
reset up just to make sure this works properly this time.
All right. No worries. Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
That's
We can
great.
hear you clearly. Yeah.
Do you want me to
So,
start now?
yeah, sure. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pass you the presenter feature. All right. Okay.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect.
We can.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to update you, I've let them know what DriveWorks is and how
Yep.
it actually plays a part in the overall product lifecycle management, and also in terms of Industry 4.0, how are we getting everything to be automated, and how are we
Yes.
doing mass customization. Yeah, and
Yep.
how are we actually trying to go online with product
Yes.
selling in that sense as well. Yeah, so yeah, I'll just pass it back to you. All right.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks for
No worries.
waiting for us as well. That's my apologies. Maybe
Yep.
it's an early
Yeah.
morning
Thank
thing
you.
here. um,
All right.
okay,
Okay.
so as I mentioned before, can you see my PowerPoint, by the way?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you. That's great. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we were founded in 2001 in the UK. We are on our 18th major release of DriveWorks, and we operate through the global SolidWorks reseller network, which CADVision is a part of. We have around 1,700 unique customers in a variety of industries, and we're also a SolidWorks Gold Partner product and Microsoft partner as well. So a quick question for you. I asked this just before we went offline last time, but what percentage of SolidWorks users do you think own a design automation product? And the answer to that is 100%. And I'm sure has already been mentioned, but DriveWorks Express is included for free with every single license of SolidWorks, and you could be using it today to make your design process much more efficient. But what is DriveWorks? Well, we like to describe DriveWorks as the design automation process for designs that are the same but different. But what does that actually mean? So imagine you're a company that designs this pressure vessel and you allow your customers to create their own versions of this pressure vessel. Maybe they vary the dimensions of it, maybe they add or remove certain features, change the material, the color, whatever it might be, but the core product is still the same. That's what we mean by the same but different. Now, I'm sure many of you probably aren't in the industry of making pressure vessels, but if you can try and apply what I'm going to talk about in this presentation to your own products, hopefully you can see the benefit of DriveWorks. So what might typically happen in a normal sales cycle is we might have specification sheets like we can see here for this pressure vessel, where the customer or the salesperson can specify exactly their requirements for this product. So maybe they can change the dimensions or, as like I said before, add or remove features. These specification sheets are then passed to Joe, who is our SolidWorks engineer. And what he does is he sits inside SolidWorks and he manually creates all of these files so that they can be sent to the manufacturing department. This is a very time-consuming process. So what you might have to do is open the old model and save a unique new version out specifically for this new order. Then you might have to open the part to be changed and then make the relevant changes. So the changes might be to do with the dimensions, suppressing or unsuppressing features, changing the material, changing some custom properties. And then once he's done all of the changes that he needs to make according to the specification, he needs to save the part with a unique file name that can be identified to this unique specification. And then he needs to do the same with the assembly. And once he's done all of that, maybe he then needs to make the manufacturing document so that they can actually build this product. So this is a rather time-consuming process. But DriveWorks can actually automate this entire process for Joe and make his life a lot easier so that he can work on other things that his business wants him to work on. And there are 4 key steps to automation using DriveWorks. So The first step is to capture your design parameters. So this includes selecting the dimensions and the different features that you want to be able to change according to these specifications. Then we have to create an input form, and you can think of an input form as a user interface. And the great thing about creating this user interface is it allows people to create specifications and all the models that go along with that specification without actually touching the 3D viewport inside SolidWorks. DriveWorks will handle all of the 3D side of things for you, and all you have to do is input data. So with our user interfaces, we can create text boxes, drop-down lists, check boxes, and dozens of other different control types that we can have on our user interface. Then we need to write our rules. And the really cool thing about DriveWorks rules is it's a great way of offloading knowledge from an engineer's head into DriveWorks, or a system that can hold all that information. And regardless of whether those engineers leave the company, all of that design knowledge is maintained inside DriveWorks. And then the last thing to do is to run your project. So this involves actually going into your user interface and putting data in and generating unique models. So I'm just going to quickly run through that now for you. Hopefully you can see my SolidWorks screen. Just let me know if not. So when you're inside SolidWorks, the way you access DriveWorks is going to Tools, Express Products, and then DriveWorks Express. Now, if this is the first time you've done this, you'll be prompted to activate your DriveWorks Express product. And all you need to do this is a My SolidWorks account, and you should be able to activate this for free. But I'm just going to run you through a project that I've already got set up. And here you can see the user interface where we can type things in. So for the customer name, I'm just going to put DriveWorks, but this could be anything. For the order number, so this order number in this case is actually just a number of my choosing, but you can have this order number set up so that it automatically uses your company system for creating unique order numbers. So I'm just going to go for a random number here, but as I said, this can be an intelligent number. Then we actually look at changing some of our design parameters. So we're looking at changing the cylinder length of this pressure vessel design. And when I hover over the text box, you can see we've got some feedback from DriveWorks telling us that we have to put in a value between 1,000 and 3,000. Now, if I, for example, put a number in outside of that range, like 800, then we're going to get a warning from DriveWorks, and it's not going to allow us to actually create this design. And this is a great way of ensuring that you minimize quoting errors. So for example, on a normal specification sheet that someone can just write numbers down in, they could put any number they want, but there's no indication of whether this actually is a valid number or not. With DriveWorks, we can specify number ranges in a really intelligent way so that we can only specify products that can actually be manufactured. This allows people who are not technically familiar with the product, like salespeople or even customers, to actually create specifications and know that as long as they follow the user interface, they're going to be able to create a unique specification that is correct. So I'm just going to put a couple of numbers in here, just so that we can generate a design. And you can see we've got drop-down boxes, check boxes, and we can also say who's actually created this specification. And I'm just going to create this. And what we're going to witness is DriveWorks actually doing all of this stuff that Joe ordinarily would have done himself. So as we're going to see in a second, DriveWorks is opening a master file, and then it's opening the parts that it needs to change, making those changes, for example, to the dimensions or to different features. And then it's going to actually save out all these parts with unique file names. And on the right hand side, we're going to get some reporting and feedback from DriveWorks telling us what is actually going on here. So because we're short on time, I'm not actually going to run through this bit, but that typically takes about a minute or so to actually complete that model generation. And at the end of it, we have a completely unique model that is been created specifically for that specification we just made. So we've seen how DriveWorks actually does all this automation, but how can this benefit you and your company? Well, so we've looked at it from a design and engineering point of view. So there's less time spent doing repetitive tasks by our engineers. That means that their skills can be applied to new and exciting projects. Maybe your company is developing a new product or developing some existing products that they can work on. And also we're going to be minimizing mistakes. So these mistakes come from a variety of places. One of them might be the result of doing repetitive tasks. No matter how many times you do a task, you could end up mistyping a number into one of your dimensions or suppressing the wrong feature, for example. But from a business and management point of view, we've got a lot of benefits as well. So we're going to be able to respond to our sales inquiries much quicker. And this is going to lead to a higher throughput, and it's going to allow us to get our products out the door much faster, and all the financial benefits that come along with that. We're also, as I mentioned before, going to retain our engineering knowledge inside DriveWorks. So no matter whether our engineers leave the company, we're going to be able to retain all of that design knowledge forever. And like I mentioned before, new product development can be prioritized, and as a result, we're going to be able to get these new products out the door faster because all of our engineers are now working on these new projects. My apologies, I'm just looks like DriveWorks is trying to generate all of our SolidWorks stuff in the background. Here you can see it generating all of our files. I'm not going to show you this, as I said before, mainly because of time constraints. So I'm just going to close SolidWorks down for now. Okay, so just to reiterate some of these points here. So we're going to speed up the design process. So if we look at the typical design cycle, we can see that we've got this long period where people are making changes inside of SolidWorks manually before we can then ship the product out the door. But when we automate with DriveWorks, we significantly reduce that design time and we can get the product out the door much faster. We're going to eliminate avoidable mistakes. As I mentioned before, repetitive tasks are the source of a lot of errors. So if you're changing the same dimension over and over again, at some point, you're going to make a mistake. And we're also going to minimize quoting mistakes. So this is what I mentioned before about the user interface is intelligent that you build for DriveWorks. And it basically means that people can only specify products which can actually be made. And then free up engineering time. So it's going to allow our engineers to work on new projects, to develop existing products, and to automate more. And this is what we really like. So what you'll start to find is as you begin to automate, all of these time savings that you'll be making will allow you to keep automating and making your design process more and more efficient. So if we go back to Joe the engineer, so on the left we can see that this is how he used to work. He used to sit inside SolidWorks and he used to generate all of these SolidWorks files manually. But now on the right we can see Joe working alongside DriveWorks, where DriveWorks is fulfilling the role that he used to do, and now he is able to work on new and exciting projects and add lots of value to his company's design cycle. So you might be thinking at this point that you already use some tools that can create unique parts for you. And one thing that might spring to mind is design tables. Now, anyone who's not familiar with design tables, I'll just explain that a design table is essentially an instance of Excel that sits inside your SolidWorks file. And it allows you to make various configurations of a particular component. Now, there are some limitations to design table functionality when you want to do a fully automated process, and I'll just explain why. So imagine you have a part with 4 dimensions that can be varied, but each of those dimensions can only have one possible value. The number of possible part configurations is therefore 1. Now, if we make it so that 2 of these dimensions have 10 possible values, the number of possible configurations of that part goes up to 100. And if we keep going and we say that everything has 10 possible values for each of these dimensions, then we get a possible 10,000 configurations of this part. Now, with design tables, for every new configuration that you create, you have to add a new row to the table. The problem here is if you wanted to create all of these 10,000 parts, then the file size is going to start climbing rapidly, and you're going to find that your part files are going to start to slow down. If we take this to a slightly more realistic example, imagine if we have got two dimensions, but each of these dimensions can be incremented at 1 millimeter values up to 1500 millimeters and 1000 millimeters. The total number of part configurations, therefore, would be over 1.5 million. And if you wanted to make your process as efficient as possible, you would have to insert all of this data in advance just in case this part was required in a future specification. And this would make your file size absolutely massive. Now, DriveWorks doesn't operate in this kind of manner. What we actually like to do is generate the files as and when they're required. There's no pre-preparation of files in advance just in case they want to use those files. What we're doing is when unique parts are specified, we're actually then generating them there and then. Now, one thing you might be wondering is, do I have to automate everything to get the most from DriveWorks? Well, actually no, and we want you to evolve with DriveWorks. And what we mean by this is starting with small amounts of automation. So if we go back to this design cycle diagram that I showed you earlier, this is our typical design cycle. Now, when you start to implement DriveWorks, you might just start by automating individual components, and it's going to save you time regardless, even if you're just doing a few different components. You can then start to automate some of your assemblies, and then also automate some of your drawings. And you can see that as you scale up your automation, you're going to save more and more time and make this process more and more efficient. Now, everything we've seen so far is part of our entry-level design automation product called DriveWorks Express. And as I've mentioned already, it's included for free in every single seat of SolidWorks, and you could be using it right now to enhance your design process. But if you want to take it a step further and achieve higher levels of automation, then you might want to consider DriveWorks Solo. And with Solo, you can do a lot more with your models and your drawings. And you can also start to create other documents such as quotes and bills of material. And we do actually have a 30-day free trial of this product. And the really cool thing is, if you started your project inside DriveWorks Express, but you want to try out Solo, you can actually upscale that project so you don't have to redo all the work again. Then we have our top tier product, which is DriveWorks Pro, and this is our most powerful design automation tool. And we can do really cool things like integrate with SolidWorks PDM directly, and we can check in the files that are generated in and out of your PDM vault with built-in tools that we have created. And we can also integrate with other company systems such as CRM, ERP, and other CAM systems you might have, and we have many customers that already do this. So where do you go from here? Well, the next thing to do is to see what is possible at DriveWorksLive.com. And DriveWorksLive.com is a website where we host all of our demonstration materials that you can go and view for free. There's no login required. And I'm just going to quickly show you some of this. And you should be able to see my webpage now. But if you scroll down on DriveWorksLive.com, you'll get to our industry examples. And these are all of our demonstrations that we have available for free that you can go and view. And what I don't want you to think is that DriveWorks is just for automating a particular kind of product. In fact, there's no limitation to the kind of products that DriveWorks can automate. So you can see here we've got consumer products, automotive, architectural, industrial, and furniture, and a whole host of others. And these are just a few examples. And I'll just quickly run you through what one of these demonstrations might look like from the point of view of a customer. Maybe they have they want to go through your website to configure a product, and this is the web page they might see. So here you can see that I've got a 3D representation of my model, and I can interact with it so that we know what we're specifying. And for people who aren't technically familiar with this product, this is going to be really helpful, and it's going to help you sell your products even more efficiently than you already do. And I can change some of the design parameters here, and we can see how that actually updates the 3D preview as well. Again, this is all going to help the person using this configurator actually see what's going on. We can change various options inside of here, and we can see the changes happening right in front of us. Now, this is great from the point of view of maybe a salesperson who wants to configure this product, or a customer that wants to configure this product. But if you're the engineer and you're completely familiar with this product and you don't need to see a 3D representation, then maybe you just have a view like we can see here on the left, and you can get rid of the 3D entirely. Now, in this case, we can change the exact same things as we did before, but this time we're just doing it in a slightly different interface. And this kind of shows the power of the DriveWorks user interface building system that we've created. You can create user interfaces for whatever purpose is required. Now, in the bottom right hand corner of the screen as well, you can see that we also have a live updating price. So this is going to be really helpful for customers to see how much their product that they've configured is actually going to cost them. We can also view documents that are going to be generated as part of this specification. So all of these documents are generated live alongside this specific specification. And we can see here we've got a bill of materials, and we can actually get DriveWorks to generate all of this documentation automatically, and also email it automatically to the relevant person. So maybe this needs to be sent to the purchasing department, or maybe to the manufacturing department for them to buy the materials. We can then also view the quote. So the quote, again, is generated automatically by DriveWorks, and this may be sent to the salesperson or the customer, for example. So there's a whole host of other demonstrations that you should go and take a look at. And the really cool thing about these demos is if you go right to the end of them, you can fill in your details, put your actual email address in, and click submit. And what we'll do is we'll generate all of these files for you and send them to you. And you can see how the specification you've just made is actually doing something in the background inside of SolidWorks. So I'm just going to go back to the presentation. I'm just very aware of the time that we've got available. So I'm going to try and get through the rest of this as swiftly as I can. And so you've seen what's possible with DriveWorks if you put enough time into it. But to start off with, it's probably a good idea to just start off with DriveWorks Express. And as I said before, it's free inside every seat of SolidWorks, and you can have a go at automating your products today for free. And if you're not sure where to start, one good place to start might be with the DriveWorks Express certification, which can be found at driveworksexpresscertification.com. And again, this is free for anyone with access to SolidWorks. And the certification itself takes around 3 hours, and in just 3 hours, you could be automating a product to a similar level as we've seen today. Now, each of our products also has its own certification. And alongside that, you will get a certificate. So you can really enhance your CV, your resume with these certifications if you decide to proceed with some DriveWorks training. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Apologies for the technical difficulties at the start of this presentation. I think it's just typical of what happens with live demonstrations, but I'd like to thank you for your patience, and also thank you to CADVision for allowing DriveWorks to attend your rollout event this year. Has anyone got any questions for me?
Right, yeah. No problem, William. Yeah, we are glad to have you here with us as well. Yeah, so if you have any questions in regards to DriveWorks and in regards to the design automation, yeah, feel free to just drop us some questions in the question panel, or even on the chat section will do as well. All right. So far, there's no questions. All right. But in case that our audience have any questions, where can they actually find you, Will?
So if you go to DriveWorks, our website, if you go to driveworks.co.uk,
All right.
you should be able to contact us through our website. I think that would be the best place to start. If anyone has any questions about DriveWorks, just head over to our website and find out how to contact us. And you should be able to get a response very quickly, because we're always checking our incoming messages from various people. They could also go to you guys as well, and
Yeah, actually.
if they have any questions that you are unable to answer, then again, you can always come and speak to us, and we can offer you the best advice anywhere in the world. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to access any help through either of those routes.
All right. Yeah. So another option is our audience can actually reach out to us as well.
Yes.
Reach out to the technical person that is managing your accounts and everything. They would actually be well versed in DriveWorks as well.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We actually do have a quick question here by Jesha. All right. So the question is, not sure if this was asked in the previous section, but tangentially related. For Gold Partners add-ins, will it be integrated with 3D Experience platform from the Dassault Systems?
Okay. So unfortunately, I'm not the person necessarily to be asking about this. I'm not 100% sure myself what our plans are to do with the 3D Experience platform, but I know it's something we're certainly looking at, and we're just finding out what the 3D Experience platform means for DriveWorks at the moment.
Yep. As per my understanding, the current 3D Experience platform, for now, it actually doesn't have any Gold Partners add-ins available yet, but I'm pretty sure they're actually working on it, and then it will actually gradually roll out as well later on. Yeah, and seeing DriveWorks being one of the main Gold Partners with the Dassault Systems SolidWorks, I'm pretty sure it will be coming to the 3D Experience platform really soon as well. All right. We actually do have another one. Can standard CAD from supplier convert using DriveWorks? For example, SMC cylinder for faster changing of the part. Sorry, I'm not too sure what this question is referring to. If I'm not mistaken, from how I interpret it, let me just read. Try to ask this question in my own understanding. Is it possible for us to use a standard CAD format that we have received from our supplier? So in this case, probably a dummy file, like in a IGES format or STL format, right? Yeah. Is it possible for us to use DriveWorks on those files?
To really gain the full power of DriveWorks and to control the design parameters to the highest level of automation, ideally we'd need to convert that file into a SolidWorks format, and we actually have a specific way of modeling with DriveWorks inside SolidWorks to allow automation to happen as efficiently as possible. So ideally, we would normally make changes to CAD files anyway if we were preparing them for automation. So it wouldn't be too much of a challenge to take some sort of standard file format and to actually make it into a SolidWorks format that is suitable for automation. So that shouldn't be a problem.
I see. All right. Yeah. So basically, what needs to be done is it needs to be converted into a SolidWorks file first. Yeah,
Correct.
with the inventory and everything, because before we can actually fully utilize the capabilities of DriveWorks.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Understand. Okay. We have one more question from Melvin. Yeah. Can DriveWorks be considered as an RPA for SolidWorks? I'm not too sure what RPA stands for in this context.
Yes, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, probably Mr. Melvin, maybe you perhaps can let us know what RPA stands for. Yeah, probably just give him another minute or so to reply. Yep, you're welcome, Jesha. You're welcome, Zankun. All right, let's see. RPA. In the meantime, does anyone have any other question? Can actually put it into, let me just check the chat section as well. Right there. All right, Mr. Melvin. Still not getting a feedback from him yet. Yeah, probably we'll try to get back to you after this. Yeah, for Melvin for this question. Yeah. In the meantime, any more other questions?
Like we said before, if anyone has any questions after this session, you can feel free to contact DriveWorks or CADVision, and we can get you the required information as soon as possible. You'll be speaking to one of our team. I'm part of the team that helps resellers and customers get the information they need about DriveWorks, so I could be one of the ones responding to you.
Yes, yeah, RPA. RPA stands for Robotic Process Automation, which means is it possible for us to be assigning the suitable data, table, and info, and it can be converting or modifying the files.
Okay.
Oh, yep, I understand. Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, on the wording of the question. That might be something that I'm not necessarily an expert in. Again, maybe this is something to pass on to DriveWorks ourselves, and then we can get the relevant person to actually answer that question properly. Because I don't want to give you an answer that I'm not 100% sure of myself, but maybe someone who's an expert in that particular area can. So.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So what we can do is probably we'll get back to you, Mr. Melvin, in regards to your question. Yeah, but yeah, so just to reiterate, your question is, can DriveWorks be considered as a robotic process automation for SolidWorks, in which it is, in this case, is possible for us to be assigning the suitable data, table, and information, and it can be converting or modifying the files itself. Yeah. From in a quick overview on this question, for me, I think it can be considered as a RPA, yeah, this robotic process automation, because in SolidWorks itself, for the design tables or the equations that we have in SolidWorks, it can actually already automate some of these items that helps you modify your design or converting your design. But yeah, we'll still pass this question on to DriveWorks, and then we'll actually get back to you on this. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Melvin, for your question. Yeah. All right, then I think that's about the questions that we have for today.
Excellent.
All right. Okay, great. So I think we can actually wrap this up then.
That's great.
All right. Yep. Thank you so much, Will, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks to everyone who's attended. Again, apologies for any technical difficulties at the start. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. It's the start of my day, so I'll be doing a whole day of work now.
Yep. I think it's now about 9, so you can actually go for breakfast and whatnot. It's just
yeah.
It's almost 5 p.m. for us here, so
okay.
Yeah, we're almost done. All right, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Everyone have a good day. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, same to you.
Bye.
See you. Bye.